It's the Joe Padula Show, Clarksville's conversation.
Absolutely. Lawyer Wayne, I still don't understand the legalities of these shutdowns.
Yeah, it's easy. There are laws in most states that allow, in the event of an emergency, all kinds of officials, usually governors and mayors and such, to issue special orders, limited in scope, to say people ought to do things. And if we were in a more extreme, let's just imagine, the tornado or a hurricane or floods, alien invasion. Imagine, the Russians invaded us or something like that. They'd be able to make all kinds of special orders and say, look, nobody's allowed to do this, that, or the other. Everybody's got to do this. Imagine if we had a really bad disease. Imagine a disease that had like a 50% death rate, right? You catch it, you got a 50% chance of dying, something like that. Mm-hmm.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, something really, really scary. They'd be able to impose, presumably, much more stringent things. Mm-hmm. Stay in your houses under penalty of we're going to shoot you if you come out. Right. If something was that dangerous, they might enforce curfews by lethal force. Right. The problem that they have here is it has thankfully turned out that the disease isn't nearly as bad as we were worried. We're not looking at 2 million dead or something like that. And so people have chafed under these rules.
Now, let's see here.
Do you feel like they've taken advantage of it?
I think they have not in this sense. I'm extremely impressed by, for example, the federal government's restraint, which basically sat back and said, states, you guys handle it on a state-by-state basis.
Mm-hmm. Which I love, because states created the federal government, not the other way around.
And I see complaints in other states and such. I guess, is it Wisconsin that they had to go to the Supreme Court? Michigan. Yeah. Whitmer. Yeah.
Governor
They
Whitmore.
had to strike it. But in Tennessee, for example, the governor mostly let the local mayors create their own ideas, and the closer you are to the public, the more accountable you are, right? Mm-hmm. If we think our local mayor did a bad job and oppressed us, we can vote him out much easier than we can all vote out the governor.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. We can find him. We can write him a letter. We can say ugly things on Facebook.
How long can emergency be, especially with Take Today active in Nashville?
Right.
Okay, in Nashville, Music City, active, 1,126 active cases in Nashville, according to WKRN, as of today, and a population of lowballing at 500,000. That is 0.0024% of the population.
So from my reading of it, most of these laws, they leave it to the governor to declare an emergency, right? And so you can imagine if I wanted to, for example, not wear a mask if the governor is telling me to, or the mayor, what would I do? I would sue him, right, in court. I would go to court and I would say, look, I would make one of several arguments, either, but a straightforward one might be say, there is no emergency, right? Your declaration of an emergency is false. There's no emergency here.
Right.
And get a judge to step in.
So that's what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They've gotten rid of pretty much everything in Clarksville. My understanding is we don't have a mask requirement or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, but we're talking about the big cities.
Shut down.
Right.
But businesses can still require.
You can ask.
Yeah.
But there's no restrictions on. You can always have a business that asks for whatever. No shirt, no shoes, no socks.
That's my concern. Is like years from now, restaurants are still going to require you wearing a stupid mask.
The nice thing about if it's just a private business, if Walmart says you got to wear a mask to shop here and Kroger doesn't, people that don't want to wear masks are going to go to Kroger, and people that are paranoid and want people. That's the nice thing too. Is there are some people. There's a demand for all kinds of stuff. There are people that would prefer to go to a place where they felt safer for whatever reason. If there's two stores, one of which caters to one group and one to the other, great.
So I live about 10 miles from the other county. I drove out to the Walmart there because they don't have a mask ordinance, and I hate masks. So
I can't wear them, brother. I can't do it.
Yeah. So I'm at the Walmart next to where I live. It was too late for me to go to the other county. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go in. This is in Davidson County. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to see what happens. It's at night, and I walk down the middle. There's a Walmart employee on the right, security guard on the left. And they both said at the same time, you have to have a mask. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I said to the security guard, I said, well, then you're going to have to call law enforcement. And she got offended. She got offended. She thought I was getting in her face. She was taking it very personal. I said, look, if I was upset with you, you would know it. And I'm not upset with you. I understand you have a job to do. But I'm saying if you want to try to force me to put a mask on if coming in, you're just going to have to call law enforcement. And she said, well, go on in then. And that was it. And I said, well, then
why?
That's what I said. I said, I know that I'm not the only person that's come through that hasn't had a mask on. What happens to the other people? She said, well, they always go back and get a mask. She was just dumbfounded that somebody would stand up against it. That's all it's taking, And she, by the end of it, she's like, yeah, you're right. Someone's got to make a stand and go ahead. So.
I made a couple people, man.
How so, Bay?
Me and my mask and the condom situation.
Oh, the condom?
Yeah, I'd be like,
what? What's your theory?
I missed this whole thing.
What's your theory on condoms and masks?
The thing is, okay, you going to make me wear a mask? You going to make people wear condoms too? Because disease spreads faster having sex. Because if you sleeping with more than one person, guess what? Somebody might be lying about something. A lot of people was like, that is true.
That is true.
I'll be like, you're not scared of having sex, unprotected sex, then you're not scared of catching anything.
We worry about in a crisis. You always got to watch, because when there's an opportunity, especially in a crisis, you'll find that there are people that will do things that they'd always wanted to do before but couldn't until then. So the Patriot Act is a really good example. The Patriot Act was written long before 9/11.
Yep.
The law enforcement had wanted that long time, but it
We
took
want you
9/11.
long time.
Yeah, it took 9/11 to have. Finally, they had the excuse to do what it is they'd wanted to do all this time. And I was very curious to see, with this disease coming in and stuff, people are going to take advantage of it and try to do what it is they want to do. It's been all, it's basically been fine. I can't believe there's a lot of these things that are like, they tell you to do things, but they're not going to back it up.
Yeah.
Close your business down. No, make me.
When I go into, take Kroger, okay, say a month, 2 months ago, okay, the looks I would get because, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Right. And the looks I would get mostly were, or how dare he, or an eye roll. You know what I mean? Now when I go in, hey, how you doing? All right? It's a look of almost jealousy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they are very like, Mommy, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I've only seen so far one citation for a business being open during the law, and it was thrown out.
Because
It was thrown out.
Because we all know what's, the mayor had to do it, right? Because politically, if he'd done nothing, he would have been in all kinds of hot water. But if he does something, then nobody can blame him.
Well, look at states like South Dakota.
Amen.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Didn't shut down a business.
Yeah.
Took what it took, and guess what? Low numbers. Yeah, of course, it's a low-populated state.
Right.
But it still has, metropolises. It still has metro centers. And those metro centers, equivalent to our size, all right? You take Sioux City.
Bismarck.
Okay? Bismarck's North Dakota.
North Dakota, yeah.
Don't worry. I'll teach you trivia tonight.
No, you. Ooh, are we having state questions?
Yes. Do you want to see some of them?
Well, you're not going to show them to me, Joe.
Why not?
That would be cheating.
I would add on South Dakota, lots of tourism.
Tourism.
So you got people flooding in from other states, and they still didn't have any problems.
I mean, Mount Rushmore, the whole bit. Right.
It's the Joe Padula Show. Bada bing. Clarksville's conversation.